Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your April 2020 tarot card reading. Sagittarius, it is Aries season for you. This is fifth house activity, right? We've got the sun coming through the fifth house and we have Mars coming through the third as it enters into Aquarius. Now, there's going to be an anxiousness and antsiness because of the nature of the fifth and third houses who like to create and communicate and be surrounded by people and to enjoy life and all of these things. And yet, because of the global circumstances, we can't really do a lot of those things. So you come in. I had to just laugh a little bit because the energy was the King of Cups and you could just see how zen he is, just in his meditative state. This is such a Sagittarius thing, right? It's all about the higher level understanding, higher level consciousness. And I think this is really the modus operandi for you in the upcoming weeks, right? Not a lot you can do out in the world, but there's a lot you can do in your inner world. And I think that's where all the activity is really going to need to be. King of Cups is so calm and cool and collected in times of crises. This is actually a Scorpionic energy, which for you, that's especially relevant because you've got Scorpio in the 12th house back there. So, you have that ability to really thrive in times of crises, in times of change, in times of unknown. And somehow you guys seem to be coming out pretty good. Now, if you're not, that's okay. I think as the weeks go on, you're going to start finding your power in this time. The environment is the Lovers, and I think this speaks very well to the Mars coming through the third in Aquarius. First of all, if you're in a relationship, because of the nature of the sun in the fifth house as it comes through Aries, there's definitely going to be a more amorous, more romantic nature. If you're like really in love with someone, this is going to be a time to really just be with them, to have amazing sex with them, to enjoy everything that they are. If you're not, and you're not confined in a space with someone, this is you finding unity within yourself. You might amp up your communication with people, right? Reaching out to friends, checking in on your parents, checking in on your kids who are living in a different state or a different country, just staying connected, communicating. And there's also an element of planning and strategy coming through here. Because you are in such a receptive state right now, like in this state of receiving divine messages. I just love how he's just so completely in his own space. Because of that, because of the receptivity, you are going to be receiving divine guidance. There's no doubt about that. And it's going to redirect the course of your life. When we have Saturn and Jupiter coming together in the sky later on this year, this is a major influence on the world. This happens only every 20 years. So when you think about 20 years ago, right, the year 2000, we had just had the big tech bubble. And from there, we had, this massive influx of technology. 20 years before that, right, the 1980s, we start globalization. The whole world begins to open up. And 20 years before that, the 1960s, we had civil rights and all these kinds of things. So we can see the buildup to the world never being the same again. And for you on an individual scale, that means you will never be the same again. So there's a preparatory mode, and the universe is downloading a lot of information to give us insight into where we are really meant to go, how we are meant to go through our lives, how we are meant to really start redirecting our consciousness, if you will. Now, let's get into the 9-card block. Because I had so many requests the past few months, really since like December, for whatever reason, a lot of people requesting to see the 9 cards while I'm talking about them. So I'm going to pop an image over here so y'all can see them and follow along and get an idea of how everything is situated. First card that comes out, 6 of Wands reversed. This is your feeling of, not being sure, not being confident. I don't know that confidence is really needed right now, though, not with the King of Cups energy coming out. You don't need confidence when you are feeling connected. You know, there's kind of a time for action and a time for meditation. And right now for Sagittarius, as odd as it may seem, it's a time for meditation. You know, I'm telling a lot of the signs it is about action. It's about doing things. It's about implementation. But for you, you're going through such a substantial reset, substantial reboot. You guys got hit pretty hard in the financial department the past couple of years with Saturn going through Capricorn. And, you know, there's a time for reflection to say, okay, universe, how are my energies better spent? How can I start to share the goodness of my value with the world? And I think this humility is very important, because it's in times of humility when we are the most malleable. And when we are malleable, we can then be reformed. And I think that's what this is really all about. Clearly there is something that is not quite satisfying. Clearly there is something that is just not quite up to par. Maybe it is a relationship, but maybe it's also what you do for work. Maybe it's just your entire outlook on life. You know, maybe there have been some Sagittarians that have been a little bit too materialistic, and now they're stepping into the spiritual component. You know, it's going to speak differently for everybody. There definitely seems to be a bit of a withdrawal from the material, though. You know, second house Saturn really requires moral and spiritual alignment in order for financial prosperity to really take hold. Otherwise, if you're not fully aligned, or if you aren't doing things that are good and living in your value and living in your truth, finances can seem to escape you quite easily, and there can be substantial financial loss. So if you've gone through any of those things, it really is time to reevaluate your divine purpose, your divine talents. Many of you might have been neglecting your divine talents and your natural affinities and your natural gifts. And when you decide, lovers, right? We have to keep in mind that the lovers, as much as we want to keep it in a romantic context a lot of the time, it more speaks to our inner duality more than anything. This is a yin-yang kind of energy, where the light and the dark come together, where the external and the spiritual come together. And when we are fully aligned like that, we move so quickly. We really, really move quickly. We ascend very quickly. We become prosperous very quickly. And because of the natural Jupiterian essence of Sagittarius, this can come online kind of easily for you if you want it, right? Easily if you want it. Easily if you believe it. And the chariot wants to take you places. And yet I think faith and trust in chariot kind of energy, which is usually the desire to do something. It's the desire to go over there, or the desire to pick that up, or the desire to buy that thing, or the desire to try this other thing. That's how the chariot really speaks. It's constantly pushing and driving you, and it really does speak through desire a lot of the time. So any ignoring of that makes the chariot energy very frustrated. And I'm not saying that's all of you. I think many Sagittarians have been on the chariot. You've been on that ride for a very long time. But even still, it's now an opportunity for you to enhance the path that you are already on. I had this conversation with Scorpio. I'm going to bring it up with you because Scorpio, 12th house. Like as a Scorpio moon person, okay? I feel like I'm pretty much doing my purpose, right? With tarot and astrology, like this is what I've been called to do. But lately, the past couple months, I have been feeling like if I don't enhance it, if I don't study more, if I don't make it better, if I don't make it more valuable, then I'm going to miss out on something, or then I'm not living into my potential. And I think that same kind of story is coming for the people who are already on the chariot. And I think the transformation quality of the death card is coming out specifically to let you know that even if you might already be on the path, you will find changes coming up for you. The depth of passion of the death card and the Scorpionic archetype, it is just this compelling drive, and there's really not a lot that you can really do to feel otherwise. It's somewhat obsessive. You fixate on things, and you can feel completely in a state of disarray if you are not pursuing that path. Okay, that's how strong of a drive it really is. And the Sagittarians who ignore that drive are going to find themselves in a world of hurt later on in the upcoming years with even more destructive death phases in their life. Remember, the King of Cups came out first. It's time to listen. It's not a time of action for Sagittarius. It's time to listen. It is time to feel your way through this. It is time to tap into that scorpionic subconscious part of you, dig things out from the depths to really understand why things have to be this way. Because clearly, not only on a global scale, but on an individual scale, whatever we were doing is done. It is played out, it is tired, and any continuance in this manner, in this way, is just being a martyr, just being a victim. And again, that transformative and destruction, death stuff will come out harder. So if we don't allow something to be over, if we don't allow something to be officially the end of the road and start trying to find detours, it's gonna be hard. It is. It's going to be super hard. And Sagittarius, you have to be prepared. Oops, sorry, the garbage truck. Okay, the garbage truck is gone now. It's like 10 minutes. So you got a little bit of a break in there. Let's just take a moment, though, to express gratitude for that, because seriously, the unseen heroes, of course, the healthcare workers, top of the list, garbage men, farmers, truck drivers, people who are still like working in the grocery stores, people who are still getting medications out, for prescriptions and all of that. Like, there are some really, really special people in this world, for sure, like without question. But yeah, so what I was saying was you guys really need to be prepared for Saturn coming through the third house, because Saturn is really going to challenge the way you think. And for all these years, as Saturn was going through, your first house and your second house and even your 12th, 11th, 10th, and 9th, there was a lot of focus on external things. There was a lot of focus on your connections in the world and all that. But man, Saturn in the third, as someone who went through that a few years ago, it really challenges the way you think and all the connections that you had made, and all this connects to this and this connects to this and this whole network of mind up here. All of a sudden, you're going to have things that come out in the world and with your friends and with your family that say, your way of thinking is out of date. Let's redo this. And so you have to be prepared for change. And the desire that the chariot is really working with right now within you, because that's what the Ace of Wands really is. It's like this seed that's planted that just like grows and grows and grows, and it compels us to move in a specific direction, or it compels us to try something new. And this is coming online at a time when something else is destructing, preparing you for this new way of thinking, preparing you for this new way of action and this new way of communicating with people. I think Sagittarius is finding new depths to their value as a human being, finding new depths to their skills, finding new, like all these kinds of new things are coming up for Sagittarius. And you need the consciousness, you need the awareness, which King of Cups is very aware, in order to bring these to life and to use them to benefit humanity and therefore benefiting you. Ace of Wands, we love, Now, I know that there are still people out there very focused on love and romance, and because the sun comes through the fifth house, there will be a substantial focus on that. For others of you, there will be a substantial focus on your children, those kinds of things. But right now, this has to be about you, I think. I really do. I think it has to be about you. I think it has to be about the things that you're trying to do for you in your life. So other people, they can be around. You can still have a desire for a romantic relationship, but because the change is so strong, you probably don't want to really attract someone right now anyway, because then you'll be attracting someone for a transitionary you versus, the next phase you. So it's just kind of a weird time for romance, I think. Plus, we're preparing for a Venus retrograde next month. So things are just kind of a little up in the air there. Now, we do have this Eight of Swords. I like the wisdom that comes from an Eight of Swords because it does suggest a knowing that you don't know something. knowing I don't know the outcome. I don't know this, I don't know that. There are too many variables. And there is an element of really putting down or giving up your control, not trying to control things, not trying to be worried, not trying to do all these things, because a lot of people are really tapping into the fear. A lot of people really are, feeling very confined. They are feeling very trapped. They are feeling very, out of sorts because their life pattern has changed. But again, that's why that King of Cups meditation energy is really potent and really strong and really important, because you don't feel like you're in prison when you use your consciousness. You're operating from a consciousness here, not from ego. Ego-driven people are going to feel trapped. Conscious people are going to feel free. So it really depends on how you see it. This is an amazing time to really practice sliding on the scales of polarities. You can be negative or you can be positive. You can be pessimistic or you can be optimistic. You can be defeated or you can feel liberated. It really just depends. The choice is yours. Chariot is going to always pull you toward the more positive, higher vibrational energies. It's going to pull you more toward optimism and higher consciousness. So if you allow the Chariot to take you, it will. Now, the next card coming up is a Queen of Wands, which I do love. And I see a Queen of Wands with a King of Cups. Maybe this is a coupling for some of you, right? There is a connection here going on. But there does seem to be two people very much in their own world. I see her looking away from him and I see his eyes closed. You can still be in a relationship. You can still be connected. You can still be, doing your thing. But there is a lot of inner work that needs to be done for each of you as individuals. And that work is something that you can't really do together. I mean, you can do it together, but it is your own journey. And it's something that only you can really manage or control. And so if you're too dependent on someone right now, I think the dependency is going to be problematic. Especially if the Queen of Wands is too dependent on you, because I just don't know that you're really wanting to be anywhere else but here, in a state of calm, in a state of relaxation, or in a state of higher consciousness. The reason why I'm a little bit worried about the Queen of Wands isn't because they're inherently a certain type of person, but because right next to them comes the Strength reversed. And I feel like this Queen of Wands person might be a little out of their power, might be feeling a little lost at sea. They might be feeling a lot of doubt. And if you seem to be kind of slipping away from them a little, they might get a little grabby. They might feel a little bit more desperate than they normally do. And they may feel a little more astray. See, a Queen of Wands really wants to act. And this might be a part of you too, the part of Sagittarius that likes to get up and go and likes to do the adventure thing and the learning new things and working with people and being connected and doing the whole thing. But if you try to do that, obviously you can't. So you have to, lean into the King of Cups. But there's probably going to be someone who's really struggling a lot with that, struggling with the fact that they can't do the things they want to do when they want to do it. And they're going to be really grappling with their ego a lot. Now, this speaks a lot to the Gemini reading as well. Some of you might be dealing with Geminis, given the fact that we have the card of Gemini in the environment. That there is someone who is on an ego trip, and there is someone who's trying to bulk themselves up at a time when they really should be finding humility. And so they're kind of going the opposite direction. And so that might be something that causes a little bit of a drift between two people. There could be an element of a boss or a coworker here coming out as well. It might not be romantic. Someone who is feeling like they might lose something, feeling like they might be really struggling coming up here in the next little bit. But their fear is actually a good thing for them because it is fueling them to take action. Remember, Queen of Wands is still upright. So the Queen of Wands is still looking for solutions. She's still trying to go out there, trying to create things, trying to make things happen. So while she may need to adjust her path, and that might be quite uncomfortable for her, I think ultimately she will. And she will kind of get over herself or get over himself, as it were, and just kind of figure it out on their own. I just don't know how much of a benefit Sagittarius is to their path right now. That's all. I just don't know that you can be of help at this time. So that's just what I think. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at these oracle cards, and then we'll put the camera down. The very first card that comes out is the Garden and the Gate. There seems to be a lot of these oracle cards coming out signifying a gate or a door and then a paradise on the other side. And when we have this sort of barrier, this image of a gate, it is something that must be opened and traversed, right? We must go through the gateway. We must go through the doorway in order to achieve or in order to enjoy what is on the other side. You're doing it through consciousness. You're doing it through meditation. You are doing it through a lack of worry and a lack of stress. You're doing it through a state of surrender, right? Not everyone is doing it that way, so you have to acknowledge other people's modalities. And, the garden is plentiful. It is abundant. It is everything that you are hoping and wanting it to be. But I think you are definitely leaving a comfort zone. We all are. We're definitely leaving a comfort zone. The other oracle card that came out is perfect for you, the fire element, desire. The universe is speaking to you through desire right now. It is speaking to you through something that you understand. I want something. All right? That's how it's speaking to you. So it's okay to want stuff right now, and it's okay to start working toward it. And I do want you to look at the bigger picture of things, though. The long term, the long scale. Because if you're so focused only on the immediate, then that's when you kind of get into this Six of Wands, feelings of defeat or feelings of not being totally in control, feeling dissatisfied and all of that. This has to be looked at from a higher level perspective. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and put this camera down. We will pull out the clarifiers for you guys. We'll see what comes out and see where the story takes us. See you in just a second. Okay, Sagittarius, I'm going to be using the same Light Seers tarot deck to clarify the first two cards. So let's take a look at this King of Cups here. What is the energy for the King of Cups? Additional information you need to know here. Three of Cups, beautiful. Seven of Coins, so that kind of came out twice. I'm really loving this Seven of Coins. And I'll show you in a minute when we get to the comprehensive. And then the Eight of Coins. Beautiful. Let's take a look at the Lovers. Creativity is at an all-time high right now. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen messages come out so consistently across the signs. Two of Swords, Ten of Coins. You guys, Ten of Coins, abundance in the Garden and the Gate. I mean, abundance is kind of an inevitability. And a Two of Coins. Beautiful. Okay, so let's pull the other deck here. Let's start clarifying these. For those of you who are new to my channel, we will talk about these cards I'm pulling out now in the comprehensive. The link will be down in the description box down below. We usually talk for another 20 to 25 minutes. Sometimes a lot of little details come out. Sometimes one big story comes out. So it all just depends. Let's take a look at this Six of Wands reversed. Page of Cups. Another Queen of Wands. Yeah, that Queen of Wands, I think, is really struggling with not having the consistency, with not having their lifestyle be the same. I just think they've been a little too ingrained to have certain things. Maybe, oh, hold on, I'm not going to take all those. Too many. Okay, the Chariot here. Ooh, King of Swords reversed. It's not a time for thinking your way through this, guys. Yeah, the more you think about stuff, the more you kind of get in your own way. This is about feeling. And I know Sagittarius is like all about the, you're a very mind-oriented sign. It's very philosophical and all of that. And that's beautiful. But this is about feeling. How many? 3 major arcana. One more for that death card. It's kind of a lot. And there you are, Sagittarius. Beautiful. Yeah, for some reason your mind isn't super reliable. Because your mind is just a little too, like I said, it's out of date. And Saturn in the 3rd house, you're really going to start feeling that this month. You're going to start feeling the Aquarian nature of Saturn. And it's just not going to work the same way. So that's why you have to be really open. It's best to listen, not to speak. And it's best to change on the DL. To do your changing in the space of higher consciousness and just know that that's just something you're going through right now. Saturn through the 3rd. Beautiful. Lovers coming out twice. Excellent. Strong sex drive, I suspect, at this time. Moon reversed. 6 of Wands. Another death card. No problem. It's too many. Take the Queen of Wands. Clearly there is a love or a connection with the Queen of Wands, something special. Okay, so these again we'll talk about in the comprehensive reading, Empress at the bottom. So if you want to join, link will be down in the description box. Thank you guys so much for everything. I hope you have an amazing rest of Aries season in spite of what's going on. A lot of opportunity to really maximize this time and to really reset our own lives. So I'm going to leave you there. Thank you guys so much. Wish you nothing but the best. Take care. Bye-bye.